Hi there, this is Kank Snow for Lightspeed Saber League, the world's fastest light-based fencing, and this is Idle 1. Let's break it down into each piece. Idle 1 is 2 advances, 3 retreats, 1 advance, and then 1 attack lunge with a straight cut, and then a recovery. 2 advances, 1, 2, 3 retreats, 1, 2, 3, 1 advance, and a lunge with a straight cut, and recover. From the front, 2 advances, 1, 2, 3 retreats, 1, 2, 3, advance and lunge with a straight cut and recover. Idle 1 is all about using linear footwork, moving forward and back, having really consistent stepping, also using the lunge to attack, and also using a straight cut, which is meant to be very, very efficient. Now let's go over each individual movement, how to do them. We're going to start with our basic stance, what we call standard stance. You're going to form it by holding your weapon in your dominant hand at the top of the weapon, and you're going to use the corresponding foot. Okay, so if you're right-handed, you're going to use your right foot. And you're going to put your heels together like this, form an L stance. I'm going to be facing this way. And I'm going to take a step forward with my dominant foot, a little bit longer than shoulder length. And then I'm going to bend my knees like this. Okay. It should be an even bend. And my front toe should be pointed straight forward in the direction that we're going to be going. And the other foot should be turned 45 to 90 degrees. So it could be turned about as much as this much, or 90 degrees, okay, but don't turn it any longer than 90 degrees. All right, to form my center guard, I'm going to hold the weapon about waist level like this, okay, and I'm going to hold the blade 45 to 60 degrees up. And my back should be straight, and I'm going to be looking forward to where my target is going to be. For your advances and retreats, you're going to do them like so. You're going to start in your standard stance, and you're going to move 1 foot at a time at first, front foot, then the back foot to advance. It's just small steps. Front foot, back foot, okay? Make sure you plant your heel first. Plant the heel and then plant the toe. And then bring up the back foot with you. Same thing when you're going backwards. You're going to do a retreat and you're going to use your back foot first. So back foot, front foot, back foot, front foot, back foot, front foot. Note that the feet move the same amount each time and the stance remains stable throughout. So if your advance looks like this, where you are slowly shrinking the size of your stance, that's not good. That's what we call Frankensteining, because by the end, your legs are straight. You can't do anything with straight legs, all right? So try to maintain your stance throughout. That's going to be very critical to mastering this sequence. I should be able to freeze frame you at any moment, and your stance looks exactly the same between each step. Now, if you want to do your footwork a little bit faster, you can break it up slightly differently. So in this case, I'm going to move my front foot, but I'm also going to complete the front foot step with the back foot. So watch how I'm going to do it. I'm going to lift my toes up like that. I'm going to plant my heel down like that. And then as I place my toes back on the floor, I'm going to pull the back foot up with me. And there it is. That's an advance. It's a little bit faster. Okay. You're going to do the same thing when you're going for a retreat. So I'm going to move my back foot first. And as I do so, I'm going to lift my front toes like that. And then I'm going to plant my front foot. This allows me to do both steps basically simultaneously. All right? So that's how you're going to do this a little bit quicker. Try not to drag your feet though. Don't drag your feet, you'll lose points for that. Our first steps are going to be advances and retreats. 2 advances, 3 retreats, and then we're going to do 1 advance, and then we're going to do a lunge. A lunge is going to be just like an advance, except only the front foot is going to move. This is important. It's a simple lunge. It's meant to be safe, but it's still effective. I want your back foot to be flat on the floor, and I don't want it to move, slide, or come off the floor, or smear. Okay? So we're going to do our lunge. We're going to act like it's a really big advance. So I'm going to pick up my toes. I'm going to take a large step forward. I'm going to put my heel down like that, and then I'm going to put my toes down and bend my knee. Okay? So the whole thing should look like this. All right? Make sure the heel lands first. And then I'm going to do a recovery. I'm going to push off this leg here and return to my stance. So I'll do a few more of those with just the lunge. Just the lunge. Okay. And then I'm going to add the cut in. up my center guard here. This is a straight cut, that means there's no wind up, so it should look like this. All right, you should not be pulling the weapon back. You should be at 45 to 60 degrees, okay? To deliver your cut, this cut is going to be targeted at your opponent's forehead. It's going to come right down on the forehead. So what you're going to do is you're going to extend the weapon straight out, okay, from its position to right above the opponent's forehead, and you're going to chop it down with your wrist, and then you're going to bring it back along your recovery, all right? So it'll look like this. All right, so that's just a little chop to the forehead. Okay, make sure that the attack is timed with the foot. The attack should arrive at about the same time as the foot lands on the floor. Let's do it with a target so you have a better sense of how the cut's going to work. I have my target here. Imagine that this is my opponent's head. I'm going to be slightly out of range here. I'm going to do my lunge. So I'm going to lunge in. I'm going to shoot above the target and cut down with my wrist, and then bring it back. Okay, so that's everything. Let's go over it one more time. I'm going to advance, advance, retreat, 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 advance, and lunge with a straight cut. All right, and I'm going to recover. And that's it. Let's do it one more time from this side here. Advance, advance, retreat, 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 advance, and lunge, and recover. Now before you start, it's important to understand what are some of the things you can do that cause you to absolutely automatically fail the test. That's if you score any zeros, and you're going to get zeros if you commit any safety violations. Let's go over some of those. So when I told you about your basic stance, you want to make sure that your front toes are pointed forward towards your target, and those toes must stay pointed forward at the target at all times. So throughout, as you do your advances and your retreats, especially during your lunge, these toes must be pointed forward at the target. If you lunge with your toes turned like this, you're going to roll your ankle, you're done. For your lunge, you want to also make sure that you don't allow your knees to be hyperextended. That means your knees are going to go past your toes, like so. Okay, I'm going to use my saber to measure. As you can see, my knee is past my toe right now. That's going to put a lot of pressure on your knee. You don't want to let this happen, okay? So don't let this happen. Make sure that if you're going to lunge this far, bring this foot up and let that knee come to rest over the ankles like so, okay? Neither do you want to be hypo-extended or underextended. So if you look like this, okay, this is going to cause a split for you. This isn't going to be good for you either. This will also be a zero as well. Other things you want to make sure that you don't do on your lunge. You don't want to put too much weight going forward, so you don't want to look like this on your lunge. That's not going to work very well. If your back foot comes off the floor, that's going to be a 1 or a 0 point possibly. You also don't want to let your back foot smear. Okay, don't let the back foot smear like that. And you don't want to let it slide either. Okay, the most common reason that you end up doing a hyperextension like this is because you're allowing your back foot to slide and you look something like this. Okay, that's the most common way that this occurs. All right, so avoid those 0 pointers and you'll be fine. This has been King Stuff. I don't want. Good luck.